Hey, everybody, welcome to the podcast. This is a space for real conversations, grown women dialogue, and honest reflection. So today's episode is titled, Yes, I Am a Pick Me. Now What? And before anyone gets uncomfortable, let me just say this clearly. We're not here to convince, convert, or compete. We're here to speak from conviction. So some of us chose peace, some of us chose order, some of us chose our homes, our marriages, our femininity, and our roles and found fulfillment there. Some people call that being a pick me. We just call it being intentional. So, this conversation is about submission without shame, modesty without fear, motherhood without apology, and femininity without performance. If this resonates with you, stay. And if it challenges you, stay anyway. Let's talk. So, here, I'm your host, Lady. Hey, y'all. And then we have our other host, Miss Blossom. Say what's up to the people.
How's everybody doing? This is Blossom.
Hey, Sincere. Say what's up to the people.
Well, hello, Sincere is in the building.
Yes, you are. And finally, we have Grace in the building. Say hello.
Hello, beautiful ladies. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Oh my goodness, y'all. Guess what? I'm so excited. You could probably hear the smile on my face. You could hear it, right? It is January 20th. Do y'all know it is our premiere episode today?
Stop it. It got here so fast.
Yeah, all
Oh,
praises, all
that's
praises.
wonderful.
It came across so fast when we first started talking about it. I'm like thinking about the days leading up to it,
Right.
meditating on it and really considering how it was going to go and all of that. But, you know, it's going to go how the Lord intends it to go. Um, so let's jump into it. I have an icebreaker for you guys. So I hope you're ready. So
Okay.
the first question that I want to ask y'all, okay, and this is for everybody. When was the first time that you heard the term pick me and
Mhm.
how did it make you feel? Blossom, can you start us off with this one?
Okay, now pick me. This got to be something new because I actually just heard this within the last few months. And I was scrolling on TikTok and I came across, by the way, y'all, the sister that I'm about to tell y'all about, her name is Jolene. She's like a creator herself, and she was singing a song about being pick me, pick me, pick me. But I had seen a few more different of her videos and where she was talking about being a pick me, and I was just wowed by the things that she was addressing that people say pick me's are. They were saying stuff like pick me's are overly submissive, pick me's are men pleasers, pick me they'll do anything to please a man. And I was just wowed by that because I'm like, overly submissive. When you have a man and he's supposed to be the leader, you want to make sure that you following that man, right? So I was
Right.
just like, we really have fallen so low as women these days. We just don't fallen so low.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree about the low standpoint. Because at some point we walked with dignity, with our heads held high with some regard to self. We cared about whether our skin showed too much and all of those things. I remember, talking to my grandmother and all the things and how women didn't do a certain level of things, you know what I mean? And now we are at the point where you could barely know what's left to mystery,
Mhm.
and they're they're going as far as pasties, and that's when I was a kid. Lil Kim was wearing the little pasties and
Mhm.
all of that
Mhm.
stuff. I mean, how much low can you get?
Right.
What about you, Sincere? When was the first time you heard the term pick me?
Well, the first time I heard "Pick Me," I actually didn't hear it. I read it in a book, and believe it or not, "Pick Me" is not new on the earth. It's just something that just came back up, sprouted back up. Um, I read it, but the way that it was being described, it was being described as a fat, black, toothless, barefoot, pregnant,
Mm,
um, nappy head, a no education, just chasing after a man. They describe Pick Me as such a pitiful, low down woman. Pick Me is a term for a woman. So yeah, that's and how did it make me feel when I read it? I understood. How about that? When I read it, I understood what the term was portraying for sure.
Mm, wow. And Grace, have you ever heard that term before?
I have actually. My daughter was the one, my teenage daughter was the one who brought it to my attention. She was about maybe a few months ago. She was watching a YouTube video and she came in to tell me about what she was watching. And she was just like, so they're talking about this girl, they're calling her a pick me because she wants to be married, she wants someone to pick her, and they were speaking about it in a derogatory way. And at first I did feel bad. I was like, but wait a minute, I'm preparing to get married. I would love to be picked one day. So I did feel bad, but then the more I thought about it and the more I meditated on it, I was just like, but wait a minute, don't we want to be picked? Means like, don't we want to be picked? So I'm actively working towards getting rid of some of those bad behaviors that I have so I can be available and ready when my husband decides to find me. So I feel like a pick me is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. We all should want to be pick me's if we haven't already been picked.
I
Ooh.
totally agree. Definitely.
Me too. And just to give our audience a heads up, so three of us are married, and that is myself, Lady, Sincere, and Blossom. And Grace is not married yet, but like she said, she is aligning herself to be picked. And we really wanted her to be the voice on the show because. Let's just be honest, majority of women out here, especially those of black and brown nature, um they are not married, they're single out here, and they have that strong independent woman mindset. So we really wanted somebody on here that could speak with the voice of reason, saying that, hey, I am single, but I could still walk in celibacy, I could still walk in a manner that makes me presentable to be picked to a man in a good way. So for me, when I heard the term, I heard it more recently in the last year. I don't believe I've ever heard it before that. And it was solely from social media. And like Sincere said, it was a derogatory term, and it was a video that I had seen, and they had bashed the sister and called her a pick me and all that stuff. And I was so confused because I'm like, isn't the goal to be picked? Like, isn't that the whole point of it all? Isn't that even why women dress even provocatively? Because they want to be chosen. So I want to be chosen in a good way. But then you have women that are dressing provocatively, twerking all the time. They're still wanting to be picked. They want somebody to look at them, regardless of who is doing the choosing. Everybody wants to be picked by somebody. It's in our human nature to want somebody to love us, to want somebody to give us attention and all of that. So I didn't understand why it was such a derogatory term, because I'm like, that's the goal for everybody as a woman, right? Like, and how did it make me
Right.
feel? I wasn't offended by it at all. I was like, well, hell, call me, pick me then, because I am. And I was picked on purpose. My husband chose me, and that was an honor. So I don't get it, y'all. I don't get it.
Right. Different
So
races.
Agreed. Agreed. I agree.
right. Crazy madness.
When you talk about you said something, you said to be picked. I think the women, well, now with the what you call them, pastry, what's the things you said that Lil Kim had on her?
The pasties over the chest.
Right. So the
Hmm.
just the lack of material for clothes. I don't think women are wanting to be picked. I think they dress like that so they can have a lineup of men looking at them so they can pick. So because the roles, it looked like the roles is dramatically being switched. I think that's, you know what I mean.
And I have to definitely agree with you, Sincere, because you hear a lot today of women saying, I don't need a man. I can do good, I can do bad all by myself. They're boss ladies.
Mhm.
And like a lady was saying, it's natural for us. It's natural for a man and woman to want one another. Why, why wouldn't you want, why would you want to be ran through, ran down,
Mhm.
having all these men that basically want the same thing from you? Your precious soul, your precious body to give it over to different men. I love being a pick me. I'm glad that not just a man, but a good man. And I think that's the part
Hmm.
that a lot of women missed is when they think of men, maybe you have as a woman picked the wrong man. That's what proving is for. You taking your time, making sure that the man that you are gonna choose to be with or that choose you, that they have their ducks in a row, and that they are someone worthwhile you giving your sacred body to, so it's just to me, like I said, when I first heard it, I was wowed.
And let
Mhm.
me play
Can I say
devil's
one
ab.
thing?
Oh,
Sorry.
absolutely. Go ahead.
I just wanted to go back to what Sincere said that I thought was very interesting when you were speaking about the roles being reversed. Just recently, I saw a video where a man asked a woman if she had a roster, and majority of the women in the room were like, "Yes, I have a roster. Yes, I have a roster." And having a roster, first I was appalled, like, "Wait, what? We do that?" But it was like, you have all these men just lined up, like Blossom said, and like you said, so you can choose from them. But the one sister in the room that did not have a roster, they looked at her as if she was just
Mhm.
from another planet. Like, you don't have a roster. And then so you can see like the embarrassment on her face because she didn't have a roster like everybody
Mhm.
else. And she immediately jumped in and said, "But I'm trying to build mine up."
Yeah.
Right?
Great.
That's crazy.
Great
And
point.
it's such a vicious cycle, y'all, because at some point as little girls, we want to be picked because
Mhm.
we see the princess movies and finding your king and all of those things at some point. So somewhere in the math,
Mhm.
the little girl was hurt or her father, whether she has daddy issues, mommy issues, whether she's seen her mother doing some unseemly things, right?
Mhm.
The goal was still at some point to be picked. And this is why I still stay firm in that, because even though the roles are being reversed and the women are trying to do the picking, they still want somebody to want them, whether if they have many choices, because those different choices are filling different voids. Maybe they have the one that will spend the money. Maybe they have the one that will make them feel this type of way, and it might fill a certain void. Even though they might be doing the picking, it's because they have put on a masculine role. That's that was a masculine thing in the world. You know how many bodies a man can have. Now a woman, like Grace said, has that same body count and she's proud of it. When I remember when I was in high school and stuff, and the boys were asking girls if they ever, it was a shame for you to say a body, let alone one or two. It was like, ill, you've been touched already, So the fact that the roles have switched, I don't think that it takes away from a woman still wanting that affection and love from somebody. And unfortunately, a lot of women have been in situations where they have been molested or, anything at an age that made them promiscuous, right? And that causes them to have many suitors because this lust has come upon them in such a heavy way,
Hmm.
um, or the low self-esteem of it all has
Right.
caused them to want to gather so many suitors just to feel loved. For some reason, they have come to a point. If the more that want me, the more that pick me, I feel validated. If I have 5 men sitting at my beck and call, I was picked and somebody wanted me, somebody loved me. For some reason, they're equating those numbers to more love, and they're still not getting filled with that love because they're still choosing more partners, if you see what I mean.
I
So,
think that's
whether they have the choice or not, they still want to be picked.
right.
Right.
Somewhere something
Right.
went wrong.
So, let's move on to our next question. Um, do you think pick me describes you, or is this something that people placed on you? What you think, Sincere?
That's kind of like a complex question. You can pretty much answer that in so many different ways. So, repeat it to me. Say it slow.
Do you think pick me describes you? Or is it something that people placed on you and you kind of adapted it? Like, is it a term that you would describe as yourself, or did people put it on you?
I would say both, but the way people put it on me, it's almost comical. It's almost from them like it's almost a laughable thing, like pointing, putting it on me like, "Ooh, she must be a pygmy," and then here I be walking around like, "I'm a pygmy," you know. So I think both. Yes, I definitely am a pygmy, and I actually am very elated to be a pick me because I mean pick me, you know. But the way people look at me, the way I'm walking through my job, I can just imagine, you know, some of it may be some positive, maybe some negative, but I'm sure someone's looked at me like she's definitely a pick me, you know.
Oh my goodness, that's funny. So, what about you, Grace? What do you think? Well, hold on. Can you answer this? Because you're not picked yet. But
Yes, ma'am.
wh- let me pass this one on to Blossom.
Mhm.
I'm definitely gonna say I am a pick me because I strive all the time to be submissive to my, and this the where the thing come in, to a good man, to a man that's a protector, a provider, someone who does things and teach me things to elevate me on wisdom and in a better position. So yes, I'm that overly submissive woman, if that's what a pick me is. A man pleaser, yes, because I want to desire those things, and I want my husband to desire me because I desire those things that he desire. Now, if we talking about the thing that's going around, I call it a thing because I'm hearing so many different types of what a pick me is that I don't even think the people who done came up with this is clear on that. But yes, I'm definitely a pick me. And as Sincere said, now the labels and the stuff that comes with you being a pick me, you know, as a woman, I just feel like you have to be able to know that that's nonsense. But yes, I'm definitely a pick me.
Okay, for myself, I would say the same. And I want to reclaim this word and put it back out there and let them know, if you're going to call me a pick me, let it be known I'm picked on purpose. How about that? Because my husband chose me. Okay. And that was the goal for me to put myself in position for somebody to love me and for me to love them and to cater to them and do all the things that I have read in the Bible, because I do believe in the Bible. And I couldn't imagine doing this life alone with all the stuff that's going on economically, socially, globally. Who, I mean, even on our lowest days, I look at over at my husband, I'm like, oh my goodness, I couldn't imagine doing any of this without you. It's a lonely world out here and it's a tough world out here. And quite frankly, it's nothing that I would choose to do on purpose. I'm glad that I was in a position to be picked, that my mind had been in such a space that somebody would pick me, because my husband and I met many years ago, but we have been married for a little bit over 12 years now. And when we got married, I wasn't always in the space that I'm in now, wanting to be modest, wanting to be submissive. Even though I seen that growing up, I had a liking to it, but I didn't know what it meant until I started really diving into the Bible and learning from women that I put at a high regard. So, yeah, gladly picked on purpose for sure.
And can I say something to that says, because we're talking about this pick me, and I'm gonna call it an agenda. That's how I feel about it.
Mhm.
To really push feminist um things out there, and for the agenda of the women that want to do what they want to do. that they're trying to, like, as I think it was Sincere said, reverse these roles. Because I think a lot of it got to do with validation. But
Mhm.
one thing that my father had told me, and that I have, that he would read at times was, yeah, I'm gonna say it. It is out the Bible, but it was a part in the Bible that he would read and tell us when he would tell his young, the brothers, my brothers and my uncles and my cousins and stuff like that. He would read to us in a word that it said that a man will go out his wits for a woman. Now it said a little bit more, but it was showing he was trying to teach the men how they have to be mindful of women, because women have a strong hold on men. They love the beauty of a woman, right? The beauty of a woman cheereth the countenance of a man. But no man wants a woman that's ratchet, a woman that they can't grow, with. So for the women that's over there making a big ordeal about pleasing a man, when it all comes down to it, a man have choice to choose to choose a woman. And most likely they're gonna choose that woman that they see themselves growing old with, that they see themselves building with. So as women, we do have to come a certain way. We do have to be a certain way, especially when it's a good man. And I'm going to keep expressing that because I feel like a lot of women, they have been making bad choices, or, they really just haven't. And it's maybe that they just haven't been doing the proving process. And then we're not talking about boyfriend or girlfriend either. We talking about to be married, because there's certain things when I was taking my time to prove my husband, or we was getting to know each other, there's just certain things that we wasn't going to do. You're not, as a boyfriend and girlfriend, I'm not going to give a certain part of myself to somebody who I will, quote, consider a boyfriend, even though we don't really, me and him were about, let's just prove, get to know each other first as friends. And if it goes somewhere, if it leads to him wanting for me to be that person that he shared the rest of his life with, which it led to that, all praises to the Most High. But I just have to say, men will go out their wits for a woman. So if they're going to go out their wits for a woman, um, make sure that you that woman that they want to be the one to settle down. Because what I see going on in the world, but you got A's going around because people are just sleeping person to person, getting with men in short terms, and now you dealing with abuse because you really didn't get to know a person. Guess what? It's okay to be a pick me. I'll be a pick me any day.
So listen, you just you said something that made me want to tell a story. You said about men not wanting the ratchet woman, right? Um our sisters have come to a point where they are dressing so much for attention. I mean, everything is everywhere. Nothing is left up to mystery, right? You can see the perimeter bums, you can see the chest all out. I mean, all to bear, from skinny to heavy set, everything, nothing is left for mystery. So, with that being said, for some reason, our women kind of feel like, okay, I'm going to be able to meet his mama like that. Not by any means necessary. Would a good man, introduce you to his mother, his grandmother on those terms? When a man chooses a wife, he chooses a good thing, right? So you have to be in a good space mentally and spiritually most of the time. For a man to want to introduce you to the love of his life, which is his mother. For most men, that's for a man, your mother is your first form of love. For women, their fathers are their first form of love, as far as the opposite sex, right? And for you to be in a space to meet somebody that he holds to a high regard, because we know the way men love their mothers, um you have to be presentable. So I'm gonna just tell a small story. When I met my husband, it was very important to him for me to meet his grandmother, like super important, and fairly early on. Not I'm not gonna say like weeks or something, but it was maybe 4 months in. So that's how I knew things were going down a path of, okay, this is getting serious, because he wants me to meet his grandmother. And he had told me that, all of his cousins, all of his uncles, they all bring their suitors to meet their grandmother because she's like that matriarch of the family. She gave the kind of approval. um Granny was about 70 something years old when I met her, right? And she's such a sweet soul, my Mississippi mama, like. And when she meets, she's like, okay, love, go ahead. She's good to go, kind of situation. So, winding back before that, he wanted to meet my mother first. And at the time, my mom, well, she still does, lives in the deep south, right? And we drove from north to south. It was about 19 hours. He was adamant about meeting my mother because, it says, as is the mother, so is the daughter, right? He wanted to know physically if I was going to be pleasantly plump when I got older, like what her mother looked like now. That was one thing, because men men do care about what you look like. Ain't nobody gonna tell me different. But
Mhm.
also, he wanted to see what her spirit was like. Could she cook? Could she clean? Could she do
Mhm.
all the things? Was she an evil person? Was she nice? Was she mean? That was important to him. And I had never really heard that before, as far as a man wanting to meet your mother for those particular reasons. Now, mind you, he didn't tell me that at the time. He just was like, "Oh, I want to meet your mom." I didn't think nothing of it. Later on in conversation, he was like, "Oh no." He said, "I want the sole purpose I wanted to meet your mother was so I can know who you come from and what kind of woman I'm dealing with." That was
Yeah.
heavy to me. So then when he finally, after he met my mom, that gave me the prerequisites to meet his grandmother. He was like,
Mhm.
okay, she good enough to meet my grandmother. And when I
Mhm.
met his grandmother and his mother, Granny gave me the thumbs up yet. She gave me the thumbs up. Thus, I'm his wife today.
That's wonderful. I want to give a food for thought. So food for thought. You said something in the beginning. I wanted to hang on to it. Um, if we don't address this and continue to address it, and wave our pick me flags, you got to think. We have daughters that will, Lord's will, be grandmothers, right? So if our daughters become grandmothers, not our daughters, the people in the world's daughters, like people that dress provocative in a certain kind of way, they're excuse me, they're going to be grandmothers. So is anybody going to want to meet that grandmother?
Mm,
Is anybody gonna what is she gonna prove of? What is she gonna put into granddaughters and daughters? You know what I mean? So that's a food for thought. I also wanted to say, when I met my husband, he wasn't interested in me. I wasn't interested in him, and it was just one of those things. I'm looking at him, he looking at me, and we just looking. So um, he he was telling me what type of woman that he wanted to marry. He didn't want anyone with children. I came with children, and he didn't want anyone that has ever been married before. Uh, I was married before, so I'm like, those are great goals. I'm agreeing with them. Those are great goals, sir. That's great. Needless to say, we're married now. So what changed? What changed? What changed your mind? What changed your mind to pick me? And what changed his mind to pick me is my behaviors. Boom.
mm. Wow. And you gonna drop the mic on that one and keep it going, huh? You She said my behaviors and shut the mic on. No, that's a good point. When I talk to other women and have these conversations, one thing that I like to say is your behavior can diminish the validity of your message. So, based off your behavior as a woman, anything that you say is going to either be validated or invalidated because of your behavior. So, you could say all the right things, right? But if you are a nasty person, it means nothing. If your behavior is trash, you're trash. I mean, at the end of the day, you're not walking the walk and talking the talk. You're a walking hypocrisy at the end of the day. So I love that you said what changed. Your behavior changed. That's awesome. I love that for you.
Right. Ugly on the inside, but pretty on the outside. And that ugly on the inside just ruins it.
Mhm.
It ruins it.
You turn inside out. You become ugly on the outside, and well, you be ugly on the inside too. You just ugly.
Right.
You can't hide ugly. You can hide ugly, but it will peak its ugly head.
It is. My grandma used to always tell us um, that she used to quote this from the Bible. It was talking about how a jewel in a swine's nose, just basically like you dressing up a pig, but it's still a pig is still a pig. It's a foul animal. It's
Mm-hmm.
a nasty animal, but you're dressing it up, trying to make it look cute, and we all see it, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But like you said, you could definitely put on that representation and that representative to hide it, but it's going to rear its ugly head because it's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's-
Right.
so let's get back to it. Oh, I like this question. So it says, what part of your femininity do you feel most understood for? Grace. Grace, what about you? What part, I haven't heard from you in a little bit. What part of your femininity do you feel most understood for?
Um, I would say my modesty. I feel most misunderstood for only because modesty is more than just how I dress, right? I do like to dress a certain way, so I am covered and I am protected physically, but also it people misinterpret. So people do look at me like I'm different, like I'm odd. They don't understand certain things, but that's what's mostly misunderstood about me. When I was dressing immodest and I was wearing those things, I definitely had a mask on. I was hiding insecurities. I was hiding these terrible thoughts that I would have about myself. And
Mm,
I assumed because I had those thoughts about me that everyone else had those thoughts about me. And it really just ended up being low self esteem, right? Low self esteem. I had absolutely no self worth, which is why I dressed the way that I dressed. It was all about attention from anywhere. Right, negative, positive, it really didn't make a difference. And at that point, there was no positive attention, it was all negative attention. So,
mm,
I think that line of dress is seen as empowerment because, taking back my body and I'm doing what I want to do with it. Whereas the way I currently dress, even though this to me is empowering, I feel like people think that it's me being oppressed in some way, or I have this 1950s mindset and, today is today and need to step out of that box. But I think my modesty overall is misunderstood.
wow. And y'all, wouldn't y'all say that that is the deceitfulness that the world is drawing our women into, almost like gnats in a trap, making us feel like the
Mhm.
more you show, you're going to feel confident when it's literally the opposite. Most of those women that dress like that literally have some of the lowest self-esteem, and they'll get on TikTok and Instagram and yell it to the sky. No, I'm confident. I'm
Mm-hmm.
strong in my body. I'm this in my body.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that you can be.
Mm-mm. Nope, not when
And
it's
they'll
not.
try to right. They'll
And you
try to
know,
convince you
Mm-hmm.
that you're weird, like you said, that you're weird for not being like that. You're uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm uncomfortable looking at you show your body. Like I
Right.
want to give you a jacket.
Mm-hmm.
Let's cover up together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
hearing that, it took me back to when I can remember first starting to like wear modest especially dresses because I love the dresses, modest dresses. And I started being in my modesty. Look, it made me think of a conversation. I used to go to the store all the time, and I remember one time that a vendor that used to be outside the store, he had stopped me. He said, "Wow, wow, you look really nice in your outfit." And I said, "Oh, okay. Thank you." I wasn't married at this time, but I was like, I told him thank you or whatever. He said, "Wow, you don't see women dressed like that today." And it put a smile on my face. He was like, "Today they dress like streetwalkers."
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm an older sister, but I hadn't heard the term streetwalkers. And basically it was like the women today they dress like streetwalkers. So
Mhm.
I had found out later, after hearing him say that streetwalkers was basically like another word for prostitute. And just thinking of that today, when I'm seeing the women, a lot of women today, I'm like, they are. That's what, when we looked at movies or we would hear the term prostitute, the way they dress today is like prostitutes. And
Mhm.
to me, you don't have to look like Harriet Tubman in your clothing because you
Mm-hmm.
cover it up. I
Mm-hmm.
see a lot of women that are modest today. All praises to knowing y'all sisters that's dressing modest. They look nice. I honestly, they have nicer clothes to me that actually they make you look more elegant, of class.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Well,
Yeah.
I challenge the listeners to dress modest for however long. Do it for a day, do it for a week. Challenge yourself, because I'm gonna tell you right now, and I know everybody can agree, dressing modest, it hit different. It hit different. Not only do you feel a certain kind of way, because modesty make you feel a certain kind of way. You feeling good. You ain't tugging. People look at you and they give you that nod. Women look at you and want to come talk to you. Men look at you and want to appreciate you, or give you words of, what is it, what am I looking for?
Words of affirmation. No, it's not affirmation.
Compliments.
Compliment.
Compliments. Yeah.
They want to compliment you. So it's like, you being modest and covering your body. It is a flex. That thing hit
Mm-hmm.
different. It
Mm-hmm.
feels good. You know what I mean? So I challenge the listeners to try that thing. You'll see.
I
And
agree.
me too, because I'm not gonna hold y'all. I have been walking in my modesty for over a decade now, right? And I remember getting the hey shawties and all that when I used to dress um with my skin showing. I had the hot pants and my chest out and all of that stuff, all the things that I thought was cute, but I realized that that was me being insecure. And so when I chose this life of modesty, I have never got more doors open for me and
Mm-hmm.
ma'ams, how are you? And all those things. And I felt even more beautiful because the respect, you could see the level of respect that people had for you in their presence. You were
Mm-hmm.
treated like a lady, like a princess, right?
Mhm.
And they were so
Definitely.
nice and all of that. But versus getting a cat, I don't know what's called when they hollering down the street, you 2 blocks up, yo, shorty. That's that's not cute. It's really not cute. Or
Mm-hmm.
some brother just rolling up on you in his car with his window down, his arm out, music blasting, smoke
Well, no,
coming
let me
out the
talk to you.
car, and
Let me
he
talk
like,
to
"What's up with you?" It's like, dang, why I keep attracting all these men? You're
you.
attracting them because, sis, look at the way you dress. And I did an interview the other day with a mother and daughter, and I asked them a question about modesty and how important it was for her to teach her daughter modesty. And her response was, "It's very important for me to teach her this because I want my daughter to dress how I want how she should be addressed." And that
Mhm.
was heavy to me. I was like, that is how we all should really be moving. So it shows you the level of your mentality when you're dressing some way and you're being addressed in a certain way and you're actually loving that, whether that
Mhm.
is dressing for modesty and getting that beautiful type of addressing, or when you're dressing provocatively and you're still loving those comments like, "Oh, you bad as heck," or "You sexy," or "I'd F you," and all these different things, being
Mhm.
called a MILF and all that. Like, why is that a good thing? Why is that something that we think is exciting?
Mhm. Right. You're right.
I
Because
don't
it goes
know.
back to the insecurity that Grace was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I was
definitely
gonna say that.
the insecurity. I said yesterday about the, what did I say? Something about what beauty actually is. So if you are dressed naked, you just don't have. And you know what? Naked also includes just you and your leggings and t-shirt. Boom.
Hmm.
So um women think, well, I'm covered. You're not, ma'am. You're not covered. So when you have on bare to nothing and you have on modest apparel, you dress modestly, and somebody calls you beautiful, or they give you all these compliments. Well, you're, like I said, your body is fully covered. So what is beauty? What is actually beauty when your body's covered and somebody say, "Hey, beautiful"? What's happening here?
Mm.
You know what I think is really interesting, if I can jump in for like 3 seconds?
Mm-hmm.
When it talks about, well, when I spoke about and when Sincere spoke about the low self esteem, like a lot of that is you're looking for outside people and outside influences to validate you, who you are as a person, as opposed to just loving you and who you are as a person. That's something that I had to learn. Do you know what I mean? Like, in the process of getting rid of those certain behaviors that weren't good for me, that weren't good for my daughter to see, and things along those lines, it was like I battled with low self esteem because I didn't understand loving myself and what that looked like. Do you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
changing so I can be someone that I can love. I can never expect someone to love me if I can't love me. So
Mm.
just
That's
Mm,
wanted to share that.
self-worth. Self-worth.
Mhm.
that's beautiful. I love that.
So let me story time. I love to tell stories, y'all. Y'all gonna get used to me.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had the opportunity a few years ago to go on a cruise, y'all, and it was such a beautiful cruise because we went, my husband and I, with a big group of people, right? And it was a group of like-minded individuals. All the women had on dresses. I mean, we were just fly as can be. And every island that we stopped on, and even on the boat, people stopped us and were like, "Where are y'all from? Where are y'all from?" Because I'm pulling this from earlier. I can't remember which one of y'all said it about us being at such a low point now as women. So I'm gonna tie this in to say, people were like, "Where are y'all from? Where are y'all from?" We like, "America." And this guy, I remember this guy in particular, he was like, "There's no way y'all are from America." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he was just bewildered, like befounded. He couldn't think of the words. And when we turned away from him, we started talking, and we was like, "That's crazy that because of our modesty, how we're presenting ourselves, he can't even phantom the fact that we are American women, because the American women, especially of color, have come to such a low regard and a low standpoint that he was like, there's no way that y'all are black women from America, because black women from America do not dress like you."
Hmm.
And that was profound to me, because I'm like, wow, you
That's
can't be
crazy.
American.
Right. I feel like I've been dressing like this so long. I'm just out and about. I'm already eyeball. I've been eyeball all my life, so I'm just kind of used to looks, because I might be a little strange. So then I get into my modesty. I get into my modesty, and I've been dressing like this so long, and I have people expect. This is funny to me. People expect me to, when I go to speak, this goes back to what you're saying, lady. When I actually open my mouth and speak, they're looking for an accent, unlike here in the States. So it's just like, wait a minute, she speaks English so well. My first and only language, you know? It still takes me back how people approach me. I'm like, I don't know if they're looking at, you don't know if I don't know if they're looking at me because I am an eyeball, or they're waiting on me to say something, some type of patois or some, and so yeah, I understand what you're saying, lady, for sure. But it comes with being peculiar. It comes with the confidence.
Hmm.
The standing up straight, the act, absolutely being beautiful. It's not even an outside. I know we're talking about outside things, but there's something about modesty that changes you on the inside too. It puts you in a different mind to be a certain way. Because you reflect what you look like. You look like
Hmm.
a garden tool. You gonna be ratchet, and you gonna speak like a garden tool. You gonna act like a garden tool. You gonna do. But when don't nobody expect you to be knocking stuff off the shelf and you got on a beautiful dress, you know?
Right. It comes with the behavior.
Right.
Absolutely.
It comes with the
Absolutely.
behavior. You would look absolutely ridiculous
Hmm.
carrying yourself, twitching your head and smacking your mouth and doing all of those things when you have on a pretty dress. And I know my uncle used to always say, he said, when a woman wants to feel like a woman, what does she put on?
A
And
dress.
I'm like, yeah, right.
Mhm.
I was like, I
A
don't,
dress,
well,
a
dress,
skirt.
right? Yes, a
Mm-hmm.
dress. And when you want to feel like a woman, and women know that because when they go out, they put on dresses. Now, are the dresses modest? No, but they know that women put on dresses to feel like women.
Hmm. What do
So I
people
want to,
in the world
oh, I'm
put on
sorry.
when they want? I'm sorry too. What do people in the world put on when they want to attract a man? They go find that black dress in the back of the closet. It's something about the dress, whether it be that little dress, that long, that covered dress. It's the dress.
Mm, yep.
Very true.
So let me pose this question to, I think only so far Grace answered the question, but Blossom, what part of modesty do you most feel misunderstood for?
I would say I have to be being nurturing and caring and supportive. Because a lot of women today, you hear them complain about cooking, cleaning, doing things for the man. And, I'm one of them women, when my husband comes to the door, I'm there to greet him. That's like one of my favorite things to do is to greet him, make sure his food is ready, fill his tummy, his belly, make sure he's just all right all across the board. So I would say nurturing, caring, supportive if he have an ideal, looking up things to make sure that his vision or goal or whatever he has. And when you're doing things like that, it make the man, as I said earlier, it makes them be more happy with you, which make them be you just get a different level of love and respect as a wife, that in the light that they see you in.
Mm, okay. And so for me, the part of femininity that I feel most understood for, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't really know the category that it falls under, is I feel like people almost shun me for loving my husband so much. I'm overly flirtatious with him. People often tell me, "Oh, I see the way you look at him." People always catch me winking at him and flirting with him, blowing kisses to him. It makes him feel weird. Yeah, I love making him feel like that. Like he look at me like, "Girl, stop," because he's a very austere man, and he's looking at me like, "Girl, stop." And I love it. I mean, I'll text him and call him and just flirt and send flirty messages. And when we were in Florida, okay, here's one of my story times again. We were in Florida, y'all, and we were at a dinner, and the woman of the house was like, okay, now all of the children are getting served first. So I stand up, they were like, moms, serve your children before you serve your husbands. So I stand up and I start making a manful plate because I'm going to serve my husband first. That's how I was raised.
Mhm.
And the man of the house was like, you know, pretty much like, you heard my wife, right? All the children are eating first. And I was like, respectfully, sir, I serve my husband first. He comes first in our household. And it became a big thing, y'all. I mean, the whole house was in a uproar, looking at me like, how dare you serve this man before, because this man takes care of me. These kids don't take care of me. I love my children, but they all know that they come after my husband. And everybody was in an uproar. It became a thing. And at the end of the day, I still served my husband. And
Mhm.
they felt some type of way about that, me putting my husband first. So the thing that I feel like is misunderstood most is, um, I guess, my affection for my husband, and me putting him first is very misunderstood.
Mhm.
What about you, Sincere? I don't think we heard from you with that question.
Well, I'm gonna be quick with this question. So, it's really simple to me about what confuses people about my femininity is something about being modest confuses people to think that You are supposed to not speak. You are supposed to allow people to just walk over you. You're gonna be this, let's say like in your job, your work area, that you're just supposed to be run over, because you got on modest apparel, so you're supposed to be this doormat for people. And I think that what confuses people, because I hear people say to me a lot, "Oh, you are normal." I'm like, "What? Why would you say that?" Because because you always have on a dress and you always look really nice. So that takes the normal out of me.
Mm,
Interesting. So I think my femininity that confuses people is my femininity. It's
mm.
confusing.
So we're actually going to start wrapping up the show. So does anybody have any last words before I do our final remarks? What do you want to leave our audience with?
Try it. Try it. Try modesty. Try it for a
Mm,
day. Go out to Walmart. Try it for a day.
okay, that's good stuff.
And I
What
would
about you,
say just
Grace?
be.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Grace.
Oh no, I just
I
want to
just want to.
say I'm so happy to be in this space with you ladies. I think it's beautiful. I'm so glad you invited me aboard just to hear your stories and to see what successful marriages look like from modest women, from modern women. I just think it's a wonderful thing. And I'm taking notes and I love this. And if y'all don't have this circle, you should probably get one.
I love that. What about you, Blossom?
I was just gonna say, for women to take the time to really think about what is a woman, what's her purpose, how does she contribute to a relationship, and not just a relationship. If you want a husband, what it takes to have a husband, and also to keep in mind proving yourself to be worthy, proving the person that that you're going to say yes to be worthy. And that what that does is eliminate a lot of the foolishness, a lot of the negative thoughts and the negative things that people have to say about being married, because when it's done right and when it's done in a good way, you're going to come out with a better outcome. So just take the time to really learn what a role of a woman is, how a woman contributes to healthy relationships, which is going to contribute to a healthy community, and just beyond that, at the end of the day.
Okay. Well, I love that. So as we're closing up, I listen, y'all already said what needed to be said, so I don't have anything besides our final remarks. So this conversation wasn't about labels, it wasn't about a choice, but it was about what happens when a woman knows who she is and what she values and what kind of life she wants to build and stands in. It's like stands in that without shrinking or shouting. So being a pick me doesn't mean that you're losing yourself. For many of us, finally finding that alignment. Peace doesn't come from proving a point, it comes from living in truth. So if you're a woman who loves her role, honors her home, and chooses femininity with intention, you're not alone and you don't need permission. So thank you for sitting with us, listening with an open heart, and allowing space for nuance. This is just the beginning of many more conversations. Well, we'll see you on the next episode. That's all I have to say. Goodbye.